Hockey Inside Out, presented to you by the Montreal Gazette.
Welcome to the Hockey Inside Out Show. I'm Montreal Gazette sports editor Stu Cowan, joined today by regulars Chris Nyland and Jack Todd and Jessica Rusnak from TSN Radio 690. Chris, that wasn't pretty against the Dallas Stars at the Bell Center.
No, it wasn't really. But, you know, I thought the game may be sluggish. The Dallas Stars were not sluggish. Carey Price was obviously on his toes. It looks like the All-Star game was good. He was on the ice. He stayed sharp. He played a great game. But, again, if I'm a player on this team, 2 points is all that matters. I know the fans want to see a good game. The media would like to see a good game, but actually it gives the media some fodder so they can jump all over the team. But
hey,
2 points is all that matters.
You can't take, that's a bank where you make no withdrawals. Mm-hmm. You have your 2 points in there, they stay in the bank. Into the season, you'll be glad they're there.
Another 40 saves. You wonder, are they relying too much on Carey? Maybe they're slacking off? Jessica?
I think they are relying too much on Carey Price. This has been the theme of the game so many times that Carey Price has stolen games for them. And yes, you want your goaltender to do that, but you don't want it to be a regular occurrence. It should be a game here or there. And I think especially at this part of the season when it's really the final push, when you're going to get into the playoffs and games are going to be that much more important and teams are going to jump up their intensity level, that you can't rely too much on Carey Price at that point. You want to go into the playoffs playing well, having your goaltender playing well, your defenseman playing well, and your forwards playing well as well.
Now, Carey wasn't happy at the end of the first period, that goal off the faceoff. Chris smashing his stick over the goal bar. Is that?
Well, maybe he was mad at the coach for not putting 2 centermen on the ice. I don't get that. And listen, you know, I know this coach is under pressure, all this stuff. You play Montreal and the media, but he was in the media at one time, and I'm sure if there was another coach behind the bench, and in that situation, that coach did not put 2 centermen on the ice. I don't get why Plekanec was not on the ice. Did you look at the clock and say, oh, it's only 1.8 seconds, whatever, and think he didn't need it? Fact of the matter is, it would have gave the Canadiens a chance to have another strong centerman in the draw after.
Jess asked him about it, and he gave her a detailed answer.
Yeah, what happened there, Jessica?
Well, basically, he said he had Bourdingval and Gallagher there because he wanted to create traffic. He wanted guys to stand in front of the net, maybe block shots. That was sort of his philosophy, and he said, you know, you can always, the easiest thing to do is to second guess yourself.
Oh, second guess.
You don't second guess if you have the puck.
Hindsight is 2020. Yeah, if he was on Lantesham, believe me, he'd be second guessing.
But Stu, as you mentioned with Carey Price breaking his stick, you know, that's something that you do see at practice from him. When he gets frustrated, if he didn't make a save or he doesn't feel like he's playing up to his performance, you see the stick get broken. And you know what? I really like that. That shows the kind of competitor Carey Price is, that if it's not perfect, if he doesn't feel like he was able, like he should have made that save, then you know what? Let your frustration out. It shows that he wants to be a winner.
Everyone thinks now that he doesn't ever lose it in games, but I remember a game in that 2010 playoffs when they went back to him against Washington when Halak was playing really well. And Carey had a horrible game at the Bell Center, and he took 2 unsportsmanlike conducts. Probably should have had 3. So we know the fire is there, but I think this is the first time I've seen it during a game for a while.
Well, I wonder what he was really mad at because, again, like that was a perfect shot. I mean, low post in. Yeah. So what was he really mad at? That I don't know many goaltenders who could make that save. Honestly, like you got to be really quick, you got to be really lucky to get your pad down. Because what if you're shooting it high? You know, you're coming high. And
maybe you put pieces
you're
of that
thinking
stick
low
on Terrian's desk.
Yeah. If he does a 2-pad stack, it's one thing, but you know, you can't in that situation. And I wonder what he was mad at.
Now, you played with Patrick. Well, do you see any similarities with Carey and Patrick on?
I think Patrick was more fiery. For what I know of Carey Price, the times I met him, he's calm. He's a guy, you see him on the ice, he's chill, like he said. And you know what? You couldn't get a better guy for the job as far as his personality and the way he handles things. I think he's just awesome, honest to God. This kid he's got it going on, and that's a good thing for the Canadiens.
Now, Jack, you had an interesting tweet after the game against Dallas, noting that it was the 30th win of the season for the Canadiens, and in 2011-12 they won 31 games the whole season. So as much as people bitch and complain about this team, it's incredible.
Unless they quit now, I think it's a safe bet they're going to break that. Yeah, only 1 win behind it. The same thing with Carey. He's 1 win behind what he had during that horrific season too.
So he's got 25 now. He had 26.
25, and you know, I obviously, for that, 46 games in, they're obviously going to go way past that. And what I like best about this team, everything that's happened since Bergevin came in at the end of that horror show, consistency. This is their third straight solid season. First time that's happened since I first came on the beat in '94.
Now their playoff odds are 98. Sorry, go ahead.
So what I was going to say is just I can't believe what it's like to work in Toronto, because that year, that horrible year, was my first full-time year on the beat, and it was so tough to cover that team. And Toronto, it's the same story over and over. So those reporters over there, you know what? I just can't understand how they're able to do their job.
Yeah. Well, the Habs playoff odds right now, 98.8% of making it. The Leafs are 4.5% of getting into the postseason. The All-Star game, Chris, might have been the worst of all time. Your thoughts?
Pathetic. I don't think the league can do anything to make it interesting or better. People say it's about the sponsors, but you have the outdoor game. That's good enough for the sponsors. We're sponsors. It is just pathetic to watch. I don't even know why they do it. You know what? I think they should just give the players the time off, or spread games out during the season so they have a little more time off during the season, and maybe give them a couple-day, 3-day break or something.
It looked like they were all playing in their backyard rink with a beer in one hand and a stick in the other. You just couldn't have been. And to me, it was partly on the players. Everybody blames the league, but man, you go out there and have a little bit of pride. I mean, Stu was saying to me before, what if like Carey Price tears a groin trying to make one of these saves? Something may have happened there already, because Marc-Andre Fleury, who probably has the most fragile psyche in the NHL, gives up 7 goals in one period. He was upset about it. What effect is that going to have on him the rest of the year?
Yeah, well, there was one good comment on the HIO site after the game saying the All-Star game ruined Carey Price's game, because if he hadn't gone to Columbus, maybe he would have scored a goal. We'll be back after a short break. Welcome back to the Hockey Inside Out show. We'd like to pass our condolences along to Mario Tremblay. His wife Colette passed away after a long battle with cancer. You spoke with Mario, you were saying, Chris?
Yeah, I spoke with him last night. Just so sad. Colette, his wife, was just a wonderful woman. She was so nice, classy lady, and just a good person. I just remember all the good times we had, at Molson for Christmas parties, Halloween parties, Stanley Cup parade. She was just a beautiful person. It's so sad. My heart goes out to Mario and his 2 girls. Just a sad day for them,
I know after the Dallas game, Jack, somebody on HIO said, I think we stole Randy Carlyle's game plan tonight. What concerns you most about the Canadiens, the way they're playing now, or their game plan or lack of one?
On the plus side, 2 things are better that we've been talking about all season. The power play is better. The first period performance, I think, is better. Although, against Dallas, they didn't play well in the first period, but they got a couple of goals. I think what's starting to concern me is the bottom end of the defensive group. They rely so much. We know they rely on Price. They rely on Subban and Markov a heck of a lot too. And you're starting to wonder. I do not quite understand why Tenorti is not in the mix right now. Why he isn't here? Because if he's going to be any help in the playoffs, he should be here now.
Yeah. Now, Jessica, Sergei Gonchar this week. You talked about just the impression he's had on Nathan Beaulieu, and Nathan Beaulieu, how that's sort of working out. Can you speak about that just a little bit? I
think it's a perfect pairing because they're 2 similar type of defensemen. Before having Beaulieu with the Gilbert, he's not as offensively gifted, or I don't think understands the game as well as Sergei Gonchar does. So for a young player like Nathan Beaulieu, being paired up with a guy like him, he's very easy to talk to too, Sergei Gonchar, that I think he's a great teacher, and he's at the point of his career too that I think he wants to give back, and I'm sure he remembers when he was breaking into the league, different guys that helped him along the way. So I think that's really a good pairing and a really good influence too on Nathan Beaulieu.
At 40 years old, he's also so fit, right?
Yeah.
Well, he was talking about the busy schedule that they're going to have in February, and someone asked him, at 40 years old, I don't want to offend you in any way, but how are you going to be able to maintain a schedule like this? And he said, I'm going to use the experience I've learned throughout the league and how to come prepared, how to rest your body properly, how to go through a stretch like this. And I think sometimes having that kind of experience outweighs an age, because you can be 24 years old, and if you're not taking care of your body properly during a period like that, you won't be, the most in shape guy or have the most energy.
Who was the teammate?
Here's the deal, though. He's not out. He's 40 years old. You're not out ripping it up at 40. So he's going to get his rest. He'll be fine. Those days are over for him. They've been over for about 10 years, probably.
Who was the fittest teammate you remember playing with? A guy was
Chelios, without a doubt. Yeah. Mike Lawler was fit, but Chelios was really. physically fit. Rick Green, he was kind of a blob.
Charlie used to ride the stationary bike in the sauna, right? That was part of
Charlie, yeah, all the time. We'd come in after practice to be in the sauna on the bike, pedaling away, trying to get whatever fat he thought he had on him because he didn't have any.
Or maybe the beer from the night before.
Probably.
Who do you remember?
I would say Kovalev. The other one would be Igor Ulanov, who was less prominent here. But Kovalev, he was fit, which made me even madder on the nights he decided to take off because you knew it wasn't because he wasn't physically capable.
Yeah. Now, Alexei Emelin has been struggling. Our producer Sterling Agras sent the tweet out when he got kicked out of the game against Dallas. Who was happier, the Canadians or the Stars? What's been the reaction in the room with him, or what do you think going forward happens there, Jess?
You know, I don't necessarily think he's going to be suspended from the hit yesterday, but, you know, he needs to figure out his game. I find the biggest attribute that he brought to the Montreal Canadiens was his physicality, his way to hit players in such a clean fashion and get under the other player's skin because there's no penalty on it, but you want to retaliate, and then they end up being in the box, and he hasn't brought any of that. And I don't know why he's gone away from that game plan because that was really his MO, and I think until he goes back, he's not that great of a defenseman right now.
I'm wondering, Mike Weaver is a healthy scratch game after game after game. Your thoughts, Chris?
He's a little bit older. He's just going to have to wait, I think, until someone gets hurt or someone plays that bad or they get into a funk to get back in the lineup. Last time he went in, I know he was out for a while, he really struggled. And, as far as Yemelin, yeah, he's struggling. He has to find his game. The Canadians need that type of defenseman, so they need Alexei Yemelin playing well, or they're going to have to find a guy at the trade deadline, or they're going to have to bring up Tenori.
Mm-hmm. Now, Martin Brodeur officially announcing his retirement. He's going to step into a front office job with St. Louis. You had an interesting column a little while ago about players not knowing when to hang it up, Jack.
I think he went a little too far. I know it's tough. They've had the life, especially for the guys. I think the journeymen, I think it's kind of easy because the league tells you when you're done. Okay, you've had your 6.5 seasons by. It was very nice. You played for 11 teams. We'll see you another time. For guys like Brodeur, it's really tough, especially when they're so mentally tough. The whole preparation for the game is so much of what they do. I covered this guy through the '97 playoffs when they just handled the Habs like mosquitoes, through the 2002 Olympics in Salt Lake City when he won the gold medal. Consistently handled himself so well, peak of his game then during most of the time when I covered him. And he had a hard time letting go, but I think he made the right call now. It was time.
Well, Carey Price spoke about that after the game yesterday because Martin Brodeur was the goaltender that he looked up to growing up, and he said, I just can't even imagine what it's like to not play this anymore. He said, this is my whole life, playing, going to the rink, and the day when it comes that you don't have to show up to the rink, it's a tough decision to make. So what is it like, Chris? How tough was it for you?
It is difficult. It's extremely difficult. And in Martin's case, I often wonder what the relationship is with Lou. Like, it would have been the perfect place for him to retire and set up. He'd been there his whole career. He's a devil, and now he ends up in St. Louis. I don't get that. And it is difficult. And because once you say, see you later, it's see you later for good. And there's definitely a transition period, and some guys can deal with it better than others. But again, I think missing the game itself, you do, but like everybody says, you hear from every athlete, you miss that camaraderie, being around the room, being around the guys.
It's funny, we had those 3 great goaltenders, and they all quit in very different ways. Hasek kept trying these kind of half-assed comebacks. Patrick Roy quit early, really, that was it. He surprised me. I thought he was going to go 2 more seasons. And Martin went just a little bit too long, but each guy handles it his own way, and it's a tough call.
There's a good tweet yesterday from Down Goes Brown saying that maybe when Martin goes for his first scouting thing, Avery will be in front of him jumping up and down the screen with you. Anyway, on that note, we'll say thanks for watching another episode of the Hockey Inside Out Show. We'll be back next week with a new episode.